Brickell. I like to refer to it as Miami's mini Manhattan. It's one of the most dynamic urban neighborhoods in the entire southeast US. It's a condo market that's going through a real adjustment right now. Today, I'm going to give you the complete first quarter 2026 picture, the honest numbers, what they mean, and more importantly, a lesson that every condo seller in this market needs to hear. I'm Jose Laya, born and raised right here in Miami, and I've been selling real estate in this city for 20 years. I've seen every market cycle this city has gone through, and today I'm going to give you the real numbers. Let's start with what makes Brickell one of Miami's most unique and compelling neighborhoods, because understanding the neighborhood is as important as understanding the data. As I said, I like to refer to Brickell as Miami's mini Manhattan, and that's not just for marketing purposes. It's approximately a little over 1 square mile where you have some of the largest office towers and financial institutions anywhere in the world. You have world-class condo buildings, outstanding restaurants and nightlife, all of it in this small, dense area, which also offers excellent public transportation with the Metro Rail and the Metro Mover. Brickell is one of the very few neighborhoods in all of Miami that you can genuinely live, work, and play without ever needing a car. There is a waterfront dimension to Brickell that many people overlook. A significant portion of Brickell runs along Biscayne Bay, and several of the buildings in the area offer stunning bay views, including and most specifically Brickell Key. If you look at it, it's a small little island that you take a small little bridge from Brickell and it leads you to a little island that's completely surrounded by water. This infrastructure of the offices, the transit, the walkability, the bay is also why Brickell's long-term outlook is exceptionally strong. All that being said, specifically Brickell has seen a large wave of new condo construction. Tower after tower has been built and delivered. And right now, as we speak, another tower is starting to deliver units. And many of those original buyers and investors and early purchasers are bringing their units back to the market as resale inventory. That resale wave is happening right now as we speak, and it's going to start adding significant inventory pressure on top of what already exists. Let's dive in and take a look at the first quarter numbers on a month-by-month basis. We start with January, we'll go across the board. Active listings 795. That's a lot for a small area. More on that later. Closed sales 60. Brings a month of supply to about 13 months, a little bit over a year. Days on market is 121. That's pretty high. Median price per square foot is $592. Median price sold $577,500. Now, February. Actives went from 795 to 974. Let's take a peek at March. March has 1,094 active listings when we started the year at 795. That's a significant increase. Let me explain. We found that most active listings towards the end of the year, more specifically December 31st, they are set to expire and they fall off the market. What happens in January, which is why you have the lowest number of active listings to begin the year, is that a lot of the listings that were active towards the end of the year expired December 31st and therefore fell off the market. As the days and weeks and months go by, these sellers decide to relist and re-enter the market. Therefore, that's why you had this ramping up effect of active listings from January to February to March. This is a normal function of the real estate market, not specific to Brickell. On top of that, as we previously mentioned, there is right now a condo tower that is starting to deliver units, and a lot of those A lot of those apartments are coming back on the market or coming onto the market to add inventory to the resale market. So that's part of what's happening here, but most of it is what we just explained about the listings expiring and then the ramping up effect. This is obviously something we're going to keep our eyes on heading into the second quarter. As this new condo tower that was just delivered, we're going to see how those units coming onto the market for the first time for the resale affect this active listing inventory. We'll continue with February, 974. And look at this. One thing though, when you have active listings increase and closed sales decrease, that's not a good sign. That's why months of supply, look at that, it increased to 21. But of those closed sales, they actually transacted in a shorter amount of time, 79. Price per square foot and median price sold, mixed numbers there. 561 was down, but the median price sold went up to 635. March, active listings the highest. We explained why. But on a good note, closed sales kept up, therefore bringing the months of supply from 21 down to 16, still high. Days on market essentially flat at 83. Pricing from what we could see here, 596, a little bit better. Median price sold stays at 570. So overall, we're getting some mixed data here, mixed signals here. We're now going to put these numbers of the first quarter of 2026 on a graph to compare them to the first quarter of 2025 to see if we can really spot any trends and put this into context. Let's take a look at that now. And here's 2025 versus 2026 for the first quarter. Look, actives are actually down. Last year, there was 1,144. This year, 1,094, slightly down. This isn't good. Closed sales went down by 11% from 197 to 176. That's why the months of supply increased to 19 for the first quarter. Days on market increased, not a good sign. Median price per square foot, look at this. And median price sold were both down. 592 and 577 from 643 and 670. Not a good sign. So year over year for the first quarter, not a good sign. However, here is the important long-term context that we mentioned previously. Despite the current challenges that we see here, Brickell's fundamentals are stronger than ever. The global financial institutions and hedge funds that have relocated here are not going anywhere. They're expanding. The office space demand in Brickell continues to grow, and the population of high-income professionals living and working in this neighborhood is increasing year over year. This short-term supply imbalance is real, but the long-term outlook for Brickell real estate remains very positive for those who invest with patience and perspective. We're now going to look at our final graph where we take a snapshot of where the market stands for the first quarter of 2026, along with the price ranges of where the activity is taking place in. Let's jump into that now. Here's our snapshot of where the market stands for the first quarter and the breakdown of price ranges. Look at this. As we covered, 1,094 listings. Any way you look at that in such a small area, that's not a good number. Total closed sales, 176. And obviously months of supply that we mentioned, 19, and you see the other numbers across the board. Let's take those closed sales now of 176 and see below what's the most active price range. And right away, at $1 million and under, that's your market in Brickell, 142 out of 176. If we take the next price range of $1 to $3 million, that's 28. If we add up those two, we have 170 out of 176 closed sales are transacting at $3 million and under. That's 97% of the condo market that closed in Brickell closed at $3 million and under. That's your market in Brickell. 3 million to 5, you have 5, and then above 5 million, you only had one closed sale. On that note, we like to cover the highest priced closed sale for the quarter, and this needs a backstory. So, the highest priced closed sale was a 5-bedroom penthouse at the luxury Flatiron building in Brickell. The apartment's very unique, very rare. I saw it a couple times myself. It's over 7,000 square feet with its own private pool, That apartment was on and off the market for years. It was listed as high as $25 million and it sat on the market on and off. We feel that the price just wasn't close to what the market was willing to pay. And that unit sold for $8.6 million or just above $1,000 per square foot, $1,095 to be exact. And it sold decorator ready, which means that's how a developer turns in apartments to you with no floors, no window treatments, no built out closets. That's why it's called decorator ready. It's really just a blank canvas that honestly, we're very surprised that it took that long to sell. It finally closed. That's a great price for Brickell. As you can see, nothing else closed above $5 million. That's a great story and backstory we just wanted to share with you. If you're a buyer in Brickell, you have great leverage right now. I mean, active listings are over 1,000 for such a small area. Days on market is higher. Months of supply is higher. So you're going to have your options to sort through. It may take you a little bit longer to look through so many options, but you do have leverage here. Whether you want a bayfront building with water views or one of the newer towers in the heart of the financial district, the inventory is going to be there. This also creates an excellent buying opportunity for anyone with a medium to long-term outlook because of Brickell's fundamentals, as honestly, the neighborhood's only going to get better and better. If you're a seller in Brickell, I want to be direct with you. That Flatiron story of that condo that was on and off the market for years, it's not unique. It happens in the market every day. Units or condos that are priced too high, you don't get any phone calls, you don't get any showings, time goes by, they age on the market, and then eventually you have to correct your price, after years of carrying costs or months of carrying costs. All this strengthens is that when you price your condo from the start, price it correctly. In a market like this with over 1,000 active listings you're competing with, you're going to want to price it just under the market to be able to attract as much attention as possible right from the start. And you don't get lost in that shuffle of over 1,000 other apartments that you're competing with. Price it below the market right from the start. It'll give you the best shot to sell it as soon as possible. And that is your complete Brickell Condo Market update for the first quarter of 2026. As you saw, active inventory is extremely high at over 1,000 condos listed in such a small area. But the fundamentals are there to make Brickell one of the strongest long-term outlooks of any market in Miami. As I start my 20th year in Miami real estate, I've seen a lot of different markets. And I can tell you this is not doom and gloom, but this is exactly what happens in a correction as the market is trying to find its new level. You just have to know how to navigate through it, be patient, and make sure to work with a professional that can guide you through this challenging market. If you found this useful, subscribe. Drop your questions in the comments. We thank you for watching, and we'll see you soon.